Cloning was once just the topic of horror science fiction films and books. At one time, it was considered a figment of imagination. People thought it couldn't be done. However, that was all changed in July of 1996. Scottish scientists successfully cloned a sheep named Dolly. While Dolly was nowhere near the first animal to be cloned, she was the first mammal to be cloned, and the unrest that had been brewing under the surface finally burst into view. Cloning is actually quite a simple process. One of the methods is called artificial embryo twinning. As the name suggests, it basically simulates the process of creating identical twins. In natural circumstances, twins are created just after the egg cell is fertilized by the sperm cell. The resulting combined cell then tries to separate into two different cells, and eventually the two resulting embryos continue to divide until they create two different beings. With this process of cloning, the process is exactly the same, except for the fact that it takes place inside a petri dish instead of the mother's body. Scientists manually separate the egg into two different beings, and the scientists allow the embryo to mature on their own for a while before placing them into a surrogate mother. They are carried for the correct amount of time, and when they are given birth to, they are twins and genetically identical. A more complicated method of cloning would be somatic cell nuclear transfer. A somatic cell is any cell in the human body other than the reproductive cells. This was the method used to create Dolly. To create that famous sheep, scientists took a somatic cell from a fully grown female sheep, took the nucleus, or center, from that cell and implanted it in an egg cell from which the nucleus had been taken. After a few chemical alterations, the egg behaves exactly like a normal zygote. It creates an embryo, and the embryo was implanted into a sheep and carried to term. Of course, there are always skeptics to any advancement in science, and of course, their arguments are completely valid. The protesters worry about people losing their individuality if they are cloned, or that sometime in the future, machines would take over human reproduction and the whole world would be plunged into chaos. This would be completely correct if it were not physically impossible for humans to be created without being carried by a female for at least 6 months. Another argument against cloning would be that a government could create a sort of suicidal SWAT team, and when one was destroyed, the government would simply create another. Clones have feelings just as normal people do. No government could force any person, cloned or not, to do something they didn't want to do. There's also the problem about people believing there could be clone farms, where the clones will be bred for the sole purpose of providing organs for normal people when they are stopped working. This is true, yet there is some myth to this argument. Nothing could be done to a clone that couldn't be done to somebody's twin brother. Doctors couldn't take major organs out of a clone and expect them to live without any assistance. Doctors could, however, use the clones to donate blood to people with rare blood types that need a blood transfusion. So what does the general public think on the subject of cloning? What are the pros and what are the cons? What do people think of when they hear the word cloning? These are some answers to those questions as given by 2 middle school students and a teacher.
Well, first I think of Star Wars, and I get this picture of Chewbacca. One, I think of Star Wars, Clone Wars. There was a sheep, and her name was Dolly, and she was the first animal to be cloned, so yeah, I think of her.
I think of a book that I read a long time ago about a Nazi doctor who was cloning, trying to clone kids and try to reproduce the master race.
You taking like an animal or something and then cloning it to make an exact copy of it. It's in the Bible that everyone is unique.
People that want to clone themselves, clone their pets, clone a child that maybe has died. I just don't agree with that. I don't believe in that.
Kind of weird though that you're cloning an animal because it's just strange and kind of creepy.
I don't believe in creating a quote-unquote master race.
You should just be yourself. You shouldn't have to worry about like there being like 3 of you wandering around, and that's kind of scary.
The pros are enormous.
You could have like the exact same animal or something.
It has potential to help us with diseases that right now are incurable.
You wouldn't have to worry about like people or animals running out, and if some animal is like endangered, then you could keep cloning it until it could survive on its own.
Helping with disease is probably the main selling point.
Okay, so if you clone an animal, that'd be pretty cool because it'd have the exact same like DNA match and everything.
Cloning is both a wonderful advancement in technology and an ethical disaster. Cloning might hold the key to saving the animals of the world, yet some people won't give it half a chance. Some people only look at the downsides. Yet one day the world will need cloning, and it will have been banned because of ethical concerns, and we will never find it again. When we need cloning the most, we won't have it, and that is the saddest thing. Cloning might save the world, or it might destroy it. Only time will tell.
You have to hang on. I'm thinking. I'm trying to like put this into words. Hang on. You can put this on your blooper reel. Hey. Okay.
On school days.
What y'all doing?
Way to walk. It's recording you, Mr. Fisher.
What is right here? I don't see anybody in there.
Ashley!
Eye of the beholder.
No. Okay, Ashley.
You could actually play that and people would laugh at that.
That's what I plan to do.
Your project?
Yeah. I'm gonna put it in bloopers now, Mr. Fisher. Oh! Okay. Where are you? Thing.
We're videotaping Chandler.
She's stalking on you now. Help me get my camera
The
back.
wild Chandler in her own natural habitat.
Should you take a picture of me and Austin hugging?
What? No. It's a video camera.
Sup people in LA, because I know you're gonna put this on YouTube.
That's going in my bloopers.
Free advertising. Free advertising.
Nobody likes McDonald's.